Nobody plays Vex, but she's secretly one of the strongest solo queue mids in the game. She deletes squishies, punishes mobile assassins, and one reset can turn an entire teamfight into a highlight reel. In this guide, I'll show you the high impact combos, the optimal builds, and the tips and tricks you can use in your very next game. Let's get into it. Let's start with what Vex actually brings to the table. Vex hits like a truck. She's a pure burst mage, and once you land your rotation, squishies disappear instantly. Support mains hate this champion. And when she dives in, her fear instantly shuts down multiple enemies at once, the kind of CC that flips entire teamfights. Vex is a remarkably safe laner. Her ranged poke, built-in fear, and reliable wave control let her survive pressure, punish engage attempts, and stay in lane with very low risk. She's also a natural playmaker, diving in, setting up picks, and turning messy skirmishes into clean wins the moment she arrives. She can also bait enemies far more easily than they expect. Her shield and instant fear punish anyone who dives her without thinking. Once she gets a takedown, her resets kick in, giving Vex a fresh dash to pick off anyone who's out of position. And there are plenty of tips that help you kickstart those resets. She also controls waves effortlessly, clearing fast and keeping the lane in her favor without burning through her cooldowns. And when she disappears off the map, her presence alone creates pressure. Vex can appear from long range and collapse on fights before the enemy can react. And her core identity, Vex is the anti-assassin, the only mage who turns mobile champions into free punish windows. Now let's look at things you need to watch out for. Vex is extremely squishy. She wins fights through burst, not durability, so getting caught out usually means instant death. However, there's one item that removes most of that threat. Without her ultimate, Vex is basically immobile. If you miss it or it's on cooldown, you lose most of your threat and have a hard time starting fights. She's heavily skill shot reliant. Missing your E or ult makes it hard to trade or follow up. Don't worry though, I'll show you simple techniques throughout the guide to help you land these more consistently. Vex struggles into tank heavy teams. Her burst doesn't shred health bars, so if your enemy frontline is too stacked, it becomes hard to have impact unless you're reaching their carries. Her CC is powerful but not consistent. Charging Doom takes time, and teamfights don't always give you the window to prepare it. Vex's mana is manageable early, but in extended fights or when you're chaining resets, it runs out fast. You'll need to be deliberate with your spells, and I'll show you the best ways to manage this. Every time Vex dives in with R, she's forced into close range, and that vulnerability means bad positioning gets punished instantly. It's a weakness you learn to manage as you get more comfortable with her spacing. Vex struggles heavily in long lanes. She has no real escape tool, and R can't be used defensively. If a bruiser or tank collapses on you, you're forced into an all-in you rarely win. Alright, now that you understand her strengths and flaws, let's get into the part that actually wins games, her abilities and the tips and tricks that make them deadly. Let's break down Vex's abilities quickly, and right after each one, I'll give you the tips and tricks that actually help you win games starting in your very next match. Vex's passive, Doom and Gloom, has two parts. Doom periodically charges and empowers her next ability to Fear. This is her big CC window that lets her control trades and teamfights. Doom guarantees accuracy. Always open trades and poke with your Doom stacked so your damage connects reliably. Hold Doom when you're being pushed up. It's your only escape tool and lets you instantly fear the jungler during a gank. Now for the second part, Gloom marks enemies whenever they dash or blink near her, and hitting those marked targets deals bonus damage. This is why mobile champs struggle into Vex. Their own movement tools turn into your damage window. You can even auto Yasuo through Windwall because Gloom's damage isn't a projectile. Use it on multiple marked targets to rapidly refresh your Doom passive. Each mark consumed refunds a chunk of Doom's cooldown, so hitting several minions or champions will instantly recharge it. And this is something good Vexes excel at. They anticipate the flash or retreat, then use a marked auto to finish the kill instantly. Vex sends out a wave of mist in a straight line. It starts wide, then narrows as it speeds up. This is your safe poke tool, your main wave clear, and the easiest way to detonate Gloom from range. If you ever suspect someone is in a brush or hiding in Fog of War, cast your Q. If Doom is ready, you'll hear the fear sound the moment your ability connects. Vex releases a shockwave around her, shielding herself and damaging nearby enemies. Unlike her other abilities, Vex can move during the W cast, so using it doesn't slow you down while retreating. It's great for shielding yourself as you kite away from chasing enemies. W is also a powerful bait tool when you're low on HP. Enemies often think they can finish you off with autos or ignite, but timing your shield with Doom's Fear can completely flip their all in. Vex sends out her shadow to a target area, damaging and slowing enemies in the zone, and the farther she casts it, the larger the explosion becomes. Use the long cast to hit multiple targets, but in clutch situations you can cast it close, even on yourself, for an almost instant fear. With Doom active, enemies flee from the center of your E. Anticipate this direction so you can reliably land your follow-up Q or ultimate. I see so many Vex players miss Q because they assume the target will run straight backwards. This is your best pre-6 gank setup tool. Landing E with Doom ready fears the target from range and gives your jungler a clear angle to follow up. For wave clear, cast E from max range so the radius is the largest. Vex fires a long-range shadow that marks and damages the first enemy hit, and she can recast it to dash to the target. If the target dies, she instantly refreshes her ultimate, letting her dive deep and chain kills across an entire fight. Aura doesn't trigger the Doom fear, which is usually ideal. You want your fear ready for when you arrive on the target. Because Vex's ultimate is such a long-range, high-impact cooldown, you want to look for situations that make this as hard to dodge as possible. If one of your teammates has already landed CC, that's a great window to ult. Choke points in the jungle limit sidestepping. Against group targets, aim for champions without dashes or blinks. And if you can engage from Fog of War, they won't see it coming. The shadow provides vision along its path. Don't waste it casually, but in critical moments you can use it to check Baron. You're displacement immune while flying to your target, but you still take damage. If the initial cast kills the target, it counts as a death and instantly refreshes your ultimate. There's no distance limit on the recast, so if you mark someone who then teleports, you can follow them across the entire map. You can't use abilities while traveling, but most summoner spells still work. If enemies panic flash too early, your recast will follow them automatically. Anticipate the new position and be ready to combo as soon as you land. And after this section, I'll show you the most reliable ways to secure resets in your combos. As for leveling, max Q first for safe poke and wave clear, then W next for guaranteed shield and AoE damage. Level E last since it's mainly for slowing and marking enemies. Max R whenever available. Now that you know how her kit works, let's put it all together. I'll show you the optimal combos that unlock Vex's full burst. Mini trade. Auto into E into auto. This is your cleanest level 1 electrocute trade when you're already in auto range. It's smoother, procs electrocute faster, and avoids the awkward delay of leading with E and trying to squeeze in 2 autos. The attack speed shard we take later makes this feel even better. Safe poke. E into Q. E slows them and applies Gloom, making it easier to follow up with Q, which detonates Gloom for extra damage. Great for poking in lane, skirmishes, and teamfights. Close trade. W into E into Q. This is your guaranteed short range punish. W fears instantly, which lets E land for free, and Q finishes the trade consistently. Medium trade. E into Q into W. Use this whenever you're not close enough to land the close trade combo. The close trade is still more consistent if you're in W range, but from a medium distance this works perfectly. Treat E as a bait tool. If E lands and they're feared, walk up and finish with W and Q. If E misses, hold your cooldowns and your mana. All in combo. R into W into E into Q. This is your full one-shot rotation. R gets you on top of the target, W guarantees the fear, E lands while they're panicked, and Q finishes the burst. And if it kills them, your R reset lets you immediately repeat the combo on anyone out of position. And this also works as a teamfight engage. Since all your spells hit in AoE, you can fear and burst multiple enemies at once. Flash Fear. Flash, then instantly W. Your most reliable instant CC tool. Flash W guarantees fear the moment you land, letting you catch carries from angles they can't react to. It also works as a combo starter. R in, land on a frontliner, flash to the backline, W the priority targets, then EQ to finish the rotation. Flash Fear is what turns Vex from a diver into a backline problem. Those are your core combos. Lock them in. Now let's give them real damage. Rune and items are next. Alright, here's the exact rune page and item build you should run on Vex. Let's start with runes, quick and straightforward. This is your default keystone in most games. It procs instantly with E into Q into auto and gives you reliable burst for trading and securing kills. If you're ever unsure what to run, take Electrocute. There are also two other keystones worth knowing, and these are matchup specific. This is the best against long range mages or matchups where you can't walk up to auto. Comment lets you poke safely and consistently without needing to commit. This one's advanced, mostly used by Master Plus players. Phase Rush gives you huge spacing and kiting power, but no extra damage. Don't worry about this until you're experienced on Vex. Electrocute or Comet will carry you to Diamond easily. Now the important part, items. This is where Vex actually gets her kill pressure. Start every game with Doran's Ring and 2 health pots. It's the safest and most consistent opener on Vex. Your first goal is Lost Chapter. Once you get Lost Chapter, all of your early mana problems disappear. Before we dive into the full item choices, here's the core you should be aiming for in almost every Vex game. This is the foundation of Vex's burst identity. Luden's Companion is your go-to mythic for Vex. It gives everything she wants, mana sustain, ability haste, and most importantly, a burst of AoE damage that amplifies her poke and her all-in. Blackfire Torch is worth considering into tankier comps or very long teamfights where burn damage actually matters, but for most games, stick with Luden's. Sorcerer's Shoes should be your boot choice in nearly every game. Vex scales extremely well with flat magic penetration, and Sorc Shoes give you the strongest early mid spike for bursting squishies. Your next damage slot is either Storm Surge or Shadow Flame. Storm Surge is the snowball item. It gives you the highest burst when you're ahead and lets you delete squishies with one rotation. Shadow Flame is the stat shred item. It's better into shields, slightly tankier targets, or comps with more HP. And if the game goes long, you can always pick up both. Zhonya's Hourglass is the single most important situational item for Vex. After you dive in with your ultimate and unload your burst, you're completely vulnerable, and Zhonya's gives you the stasis you need to survive the collapse, waiting for your team or getting a second rotation of spells. It's technically a defensive item, but it actually lets you play more aggressively because it guarantees you won't instantly explode after engaging. Just remember, it is an active item, so don't forget to press it. Mage Eyes is actually amazing on Vex if you're already snowballing. Vex converts stacks into frightening burst power. Rabadon's is your big late game power spike, when you need raw AP to make every ability hit dramatically harder. Wield Void Staff when enemies start stacking magic resist. It's the best way to keep your burst lethal against tankier targets. Horizon Focus is a niche utility option that boosts your long range poke and gives bonus vision on marked targets. Useful when you want extra safety and map awareness while still adding damage. Cosmic Drive is a mobility option if you really need help kiting or repositioning. Banshee's Veil is a niche alternative to Zhonya's, mainly into heavy AP or single threat CC comps, where the Spell Shield and MR help you survive your initial engage. If you're in a very low pressure lane or need a cheap tempo buy, Ionian Boots are a fine budget option. And in the rare game where enemy team comp has overwhelming AP burst or CC, Merc Treads can help you survive long enough to get your combo off. As for summoner spells, Flash is absolutely essential on Vex. It's your engage, your reposition, and your emergency escape all in one. So many of your best plays come from combining Flash with W or Ultimate, so this summoner isn't optional. In most of your games, you should pair Flash with Ignite. Ignite lets you snowball early, secure kills off your burst, and take over the lane, and it's strong enough to carry you all the way to Diamond on its own. Teleport is only for the toughest lanes or when you're experienced enough that you don't need Ignite's kill pressure to stay in control. That's everything you need for setup. Now let's take Vex into lane and break down the early game. Vex actually has a very strong early lane, as long as you play around your guaranteed trades. At level 1, start E not Q. It's the easiest spell to land and gives you one of the cleanest opening trades in mid lane. Auto into E into auto while Doom fears them. That alone sets up your entire lane. Most mids lose their first HP check instantly. From there, keep looking for your safe poke and trade combos whenever Doom is ready. Your rotations are simple, hard to punish, and chip the enemy low enough that Ignite becomes a real kill threat. Because you clear waves quickly with Q and E, you're rarely stuck under tower. You control the tempo. But controlling the wave means you must respect ganks. Hold Doom when you're pushed up, ward one side early, hover towards the vision, and only trade aggressively when Doom is available. If the jungler comes, Doom into walking away saves you almost every time. Even without your ultimate, Vex is strong in early skirmishes. Anyone who dashes at you gives you free Gloom procs, and your fear instantly swings 2v2s and river fights. If your jungler fights for crab or contests vision, you arrive fast, deal reliable damage, and stabilize the fight with CC. Your goal before level 6 is simple: win trades, track the jungler, and push waves safely so you can impact the map first. When you hit level 6, Vex becomes a threat everywhere on the map. A bit of poke, into R engage, into a full combo Ignite, most mids die from 60 to 70% HP. Use Fog of War, sitting behind the sidewall and throwing R as they step into one of your highest value picks. Level 6 turns every fight in your favor. Your jungler CC, you follow with R, you clean up with resets. Small fights around river, crab, or jungle camps become perfect opportunities to snowball. After pushing your wave, you have some of the best roam potential of any burst mage. Bot lane dives, top collapses, catching the enemy jungler, joining 2v2s and 3v3s around objectives. Wherever the fights break out, your resets give you momentum the enemy can't match. Dragons and Herald skirmishes are ideal for Vex. Enemies group, enemies dash, and your AoE fear punishes everything. If the first kill goes your way, you can chain through the entire fight. Once laning has ended and the map opens up, Vex becomes one of the most explosive mid-game champions in the entire role. This is where she really shines. In grouped fights, Vex has multiple ways to play and engage. If your team has strong follow-up, you can start the fight yourself. R in, land your fear, and instantly swing the momentum. But if the enemy comp is dangerous, you can also play as the second engager. Wait for your frontline to force cooldowns, then dive in from a safer angle and delete the high priority targets. Angles matter a lot here. Vex doesn't have to stand with her team. She can sit behind walls, hover Fog of War, and fire her R from positions enemies never expect. A single hit from out of vision forces carries to panic, flash, or miss position, and that alone can decide the fight. And if you've completed Zhonya's by this point, you unlock her most reliable mid-game play pattern. Engage into full combo into Zhonya's. You buy just enough time for your team to collapse while the enemy wastes everything trying to kill you. Again, skirmishes and making picks are perfect for Vex in the mid-game. These moments win games far more often than 5v5s, so take every good angle you get. What Vex doesn't want to do in the mid-game is hard side lane. Even though her wave clear is extremely efficient, she has no real escape. If a bruiser or tank collapses on you, R won't get you out. You're forced into an all-in you rarely win. So instead of sitting alone in long lanes, push the wave safely on your side of the map, then rotate back toward your team or towards Fog of War where you can threaten engages again. Your job in mid-game is simple. Force fights on your terms, never show in dangerous lanes, and always look for picks before major objectives. If you find the first reset in a fight, everything snowballs from there. Most of what we covered in mid-game still applies here: the way you fight, the angles you look for, and the importance of landing that first big engage. But late game changes how punishing everything becomes. At this point, every champion is much harder to kill. Carries buy Guardian Angels and Zhonya's, frontliners stack MR, supports have Redemption Shields and Locket, and suddenly your full combo doesn't delete people the way it used to. Vex doesn't fall off completely, but her window for one-shots gets smaller and your engage becomes far more commit heavy. If you dive too early or without follow-up, you get blown up instantly. Instead of trying to hard engage every fight, your late game strength comes from punishing the enemy team's mistakes. A carry misstepping too far forward, a squishy face-checking river, or a support walking alone for vision. Those picks open up Baron, Dragon Soul, or straight up end the game. Even one reset in a late game fight can still flip everything, but you only take it when the angle is perfect. In full 5v5s, position even deeper in fog and stay patient. Let your frontline force cooldowns first. When carries finally group tightly around mid or around an objective, that's your moment. High chaos areas are ideal for Vex. Baron pits, dragon chokes, narrow river bridges. If you hit multiple targets with fear, your team wins the fight on the spot. Just remember, you're far more punishable now, so Zhonya's timing becomes everything. Side laning becomes even riskier late game. One death opens up Baron, Elder or Nexus towers, and Vex still has no escape. Clear waves close to safety, then regroup with your team. This is where your kit actually matters. Late game Vex isn't about forcing hero plays, it's about patience, vision, and striking the second someone mispositions. Play around grouped enemies, look for high value picks and angles, and let your team capitalize on the chaos you create. If you want to make Vex feel illegal, this is where it starts. You can flash while traveling with your ultimate to instantly cancel the dash. When a better target appears while you're mid-dash, a quick flash lets you redirect and land on the squishy instead. And technically, Protobelt can also cancel your R mid-dash. You can cast Q first, then instantly flash to extend its effective range. Since Q is already traveling, flash lets you close the gap and hit the targets who think they're safe. In close range duels, flashing on top of someone and instantly pressing E lets you bypass E's travel time. For true sudden death moments, you can Q first, then flash in and instantly press E. Your Q is already traveling and your E lands instantly, giving you a burst of damage before the enemy can react. You can also flash after casting your ultimate to reposition your dash. This is great when someone is blocking your line or when a squishy steps slightly out of angle. You can shift your landing spot and guarantee the hit. It's also useful at close range if you ever need to force your R to connect instantly before the enemy can dodge. Q doesn't slow on its own, but if Doom is active and you fear someone from far away, they're almost frozen in place. If your ultimate resets after a kill, you don't always have to use it aggressively. You can fire it through a wave to clear for free, or use its long range to scout the enemy jungle, like an Ashe E. It's a small thing, but it gives you extra map pressure at no mana cost. If you have Baron or Herald recall buff, you can cast R, start recalling, and once your R lands, finish your recall, buy items, heal up, and then recast R to fly straight back to the target. It's essentially a free base into re-engage. Matchups in League are never absolute. This is how they generally feel for Vex and solo queue. These are lanes where Vex feels in control. The enemy is predictable, your E and fear are reliable, and they struggle to punish you early. You can trade safely around Doom, poke on their cast animations, and control the wave without taking real risk. Once you hit level 6, most of these lanes become killable or force the enemy to play permanently under tower. In these matchups, your goal is simple: build early tempo, push waves first, and use your pressure to roam or force fights before they can respond. These are confidence lanes. If you play clean, the lane slowly suffocates them. These lanes are volatile and skill based. Both champions have real windows, real kill pressure, and jungle influence matters a lot. You don't win these lanes by spamming poke, you win them by timing fear correctly and taking short, controlled trades. Wasting Doom or missing E creates openings the enemy can punish immediately. Here, patience matters more than aggression. Trade when your fear is ready, disengage when it's not, and avoid committing unless you know where the jungler is. If you manage cooldowns well, these lanes often flip in your favor after 6, but mistakes are punished quickly. These are lanes that break your normal pattern. The enemy can dodge your angles, outrange your poke, or punish mistakes harder than you punish theirs. You're not trying to win lane outright here. Your priority is wave control, health management, and surviving without bleeding kills. Hold fear defensively, avoid isolated trades, and use fog of war or side angles instead of walking straight up the lane. If you fall behind, your win condition shifts. Push safely, then impact skirmishes and objectives with your ultimate instead. These lanes are playable, but only if you stay controlled and let fights, not lane dominance, win the game. Once you understand which category you're in, decision making becomes much easier, and that's where Vex starts to feel consistent. And that's everything you need to start carrying with Vex. If this helped, consider subscribing. I'm Zeus, and I'll see you in the next one.